woke up feeling a bit weak, but I believe that I'll be able to go through my tribute. Sorry, I'm sure many of you are suffering what I'm suffering. We had a lot of dust yesterday. It's been a bit dry, but I've been taking a lot of hot water, so I encourage you to do that, because today I may have lost my voice. Beside me here is my sister, Lucy Muvera, and allow me, Your Excellency, just to call people forward. They will not speak. I just want them to come forward, and that is the team of chair, the team that took care of the chairman. They called him chairman. It's okay. Where is Langat? Ken? Please, wherever you are, quickly come forward as I proceed. Mwangi, Wamukoya, you know yourselves, Eliza, Andrew, and as they come forward, please allow Eric Wakili Nyongesa and the team of lawyers led by Ngumbo, Wakili Ngumbo, just to come forward. You will not be speaking. And also Amanda, my cousin. Yeah, please come forward. As you come forward, just one verse that we used to like singing with the chairman in his last days. That is the team that was taking care of him. Choir, if you can assist me. Oh, where are they? But we can just sing. We give all the glory to Jesus. Ruben, maybe you can assist me now that I have no voice of my own. We give all the glory to Jesus. And tell of his love, and tell of his love. We give all the glory to Jesus, and tell of his wonderful love. We give all the glory to Jesus, and tell of his love, his wonderful love. We give all the glory to Jesus, and tell of his wonderful love.
Na Yesu apewe wokovu, tangaza neno. Na Yesu apewe wokovu, tangaza upendo wake.
Thank you very much. Before you hear, if I can start with Eric, please step forward. Eric, he will, I believe, speak later. Other than being the chair of this committee, has been very, very supportive. Very many lawyers have been supporting. They would call in, but Eric, Kutz, please come forward. Kutz, my brother. Eric and Kutz, I used to play them a trick. Whenever they would say, can we come and see the chairman? Professor Gulie, please come forward. Commissioner Molu, the Three Musketeers. We used to call them the Three Musketeers, please. And Marjan, CPA, I call him CPA Marjan, the CEO. Your Excellency, this team were almost every other day on the chairman's case. So Eric and Kutz, my brother Kutz Otolo, step forward. That's my eldest brother. He spoke here earlier. They would, whenever they wanted to come, I would always make sure they come at lunchtime. So I would always tell them the best time to visit chair is at 12:30. I don't know whether they knew that my trick was to ensure they have chicken with him at lunchtime. And it worked, because then they would see it and cheer up with him. Eric, you could step aside. Professor Gulie and Marjan and Commissioner Molu. Commissioner Molu appeared to have been the spokesman, because every time Commissioner Molu called and made an inquiry about the chairman, immediately I would be told, get a response from CPA Marjan and Professor Gulie. It would be like it's a follow-up. So they never used to let me know when they are coming. They would wait when they are at Galleria, when they're just very near the home, and they would say, we are on our way. Of course, I couldn't stop him. So they only got off with a cup of tea and samosas whenever they visited. Thank you very much for what you've done for the chairman. In fact, I think they were the last people to see the chairman. It was late in the evening before he passed on. Let me have the Wakilis, Wakili Ngumbo and your team. They will quickly just introduce themselves. Maybe you could just quickly stand here.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, and all excellencies present, my name is George Murugu, advocate.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, all dignitaries present, the Church, fellow mourners, good afternoon. My name is Eric Gumbo. Thank you. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, all protocol observed. My name is Edwin Mukele. I'm an advocate of the High Court of Kenya.
Thank you very much. The late Mutuba was also this team. So, Your Excellency, when I was not able to get some immediate assistance from you, this is the team that came and stood very, very strongly and ensured that we would travel to Germany, go in shifts. The children would go in shifts. I'd also like Amanda. Amanda, please step forward. Amanda is my first cousin. Her mother is named Rachel. Rachel's named after her mother. And she was always with the chairman. I think she knows more stories about him than I do, because they used to have a lot of discussion sitting out there in the garden. Thank you, Amanda. And that made it very easy to have the eulogy. It came out in a day of his passing. This other team, step forward. I don't see Ken here. This team, God bless them. Langat, step forward. Langat came in as a casual and eventually was trained to be our worker. He was literally almost the right hand of the chairman. They used to chat together, and when we felt the nurses were not giving us the best of treatment, Langat was trained, and he literally took care of the chairman. The chairman loved him, and today him and Chris stepped forward. Chris came, and my mother used to sponsor Chris as a student, but when my mom passed on, I took over his sponsorship until he finished Form 4. His English was not the best, but after they started with chairman and got a lot of training, he used to text me, and I wondered what had happened. So I asked him, Chris, what happened? Your English has really improved. He told me chairman always tells him, if you want to speak to me, speak English. Don't just be making sentences. So with time, he came to learn very good English and makes very good sentences, including Langat. Andrew, please step forward. Andrew is the younger brother to the chairman, and they live in Nairobi. Andrew and his wife, and in fact his child Gift was one of the last people that on a Saturday, Gift was the last person to speak with chairman, because he wanted to have a swim in the swimming pool, And the chairman said, no, you can't unless you have a swimming costume. So he said he was going to rush home to get a swimming costume to be able to swim. The following day is when Emmanuel came and visited him with the kofia that he has mentioned, the bull kofia. And that is when chairman was in full conversation. That time he was really conversing and engaging. So Andrew, thank you very much. He's also a pastor. Then I have Eliza. Eliza is the youngest and the last born, and was been very, very supportive. Every moment she had, that moment was for her brother. She took care of her brother on behalf of the other siblings, whom I believe you will have a chance to see. Thank you very much, Eliza. Next are these two gentlemen. Mwangi stepped forward, and Wamukoya stepped forward. These are the aides. I had them at aides, but they were very much there for the chairman. Everywhere I went with the chairman, they were there with us. So this team that is here, thank you very much. May God bless you for having done what you've done. You can now take your seats. So my sister and my brother, the day we got the news, and Eric are the ones who escorted me to the hospital. The news of his passing on the 20th of February, the hospital called in and they said, you need to come to hospital now. And that was almost midnight. And I said, why do you want me to come to hospital? But I knew it was that dreaded call that I never hoped that it would come through. And I said, no, I'd rather you talk to my doctor, let them explain to me what the problem is. Because I had spoken to the doctor an hour earlier. My doctors were such that we engaged any time of the day or night. They were very, very supportive. So it turned out that they insisted that they want me to come in. After 5 minutes, they called back. They said, we've spoken to the doctor, and the doctor says, you might as well come in because he had a cardiac arrest, and while we were trying to resuscitate him, we lost him. I said, what do you mean you lost him? You are now telling me he has died? And they said, yes, that's what we are telling you. And I said, you're just telling it to me like that? And they said, yes. Then I said, is that what it means to be a next of kin? That you can be called any time of day or night? And that is when it occurred to me, when you are ready to be a next of kin, then be ready for such shocks. And it reminded me that all these years, when I stood before at Mariakani Christian Center, as you will see in my tribute, when we walked down the aisle with this handsome man that is lying there, when we walked down the aisle, I said, in sickness and in health. I didn't understand the meaning of those words until death did us part. So when you make those vows, just know they are not for the sake of it. Because my husband, I stood with him in sickness and in health. You heard the stories of health. We enjoyed a lot of golf. In sickness, it has been almost 2 years since that day that he was diagnosed with GBM. I will not read my entire tribute. I will interject it once in a while. But I start by saying the formal journey between you, my darling, and I began on the 21st of April 1990 when we solemnized our marriage at Mariakani Christian Center. But our story started long before that. I first met you when I was attending a training sponsored by the National Treasury in Mombasa, 1988. You were then running your law firm, Wanyonyi and Company Advocates. I will fast forward on my tribute and remember that because some of the things which have already been said, I will not repeat them. I remember when you ran for the MP seat in Sabata. Saboti, sorry. I said Sabata because Rachel said Sabata. In Saboti, Trans Nzoia. You were adamant that I accompany you to the campaign rallies, but I resisted, wanting to focus on our young children, the young family, while also managing my job because I was I was working in the public sector in the Coast Province. You didn't want to hear about it. You wanted me by your side during the campaigns. I didn't understand why, but over time I realized that while you needed my support in your public life, you were also committed to ensuring that I was never in harm's way. We lost the election, as Rachel says, and when we lost the election, the commissioner didn't allow the results to be tallied. When we went to the hall after elections, when he kept on realizing that our form, the agents form 30, that time they were calling them 16A and B, that our 16A was different from their own 16A, and we had the agents who had signed. What happened is he realized there seemed to be a difference and a divergence in the results. So he suspended the tallying and he said, go home, we shall notify you when to come back. Indeed, we were notified to go back around 2 a.m. When we went back, the tallying did not continue. He simply announced the result. Of course, we had lost with a very small margin. My husband, being the lawyer that he is and the person who demands for his rights, set up a team. I remember my sister Helen was in that team. They were sitting in some hotel somewhere in Kitale, tallying, comparing all the forms. And by the end of it all, they felt that we had been denied our election. So we kept our forms in our house and we said we need to rush back to Mombasa where we lived. We had left the children at home and we said we were now going to put up a petition. So we left this box full of our Form 16As in the house. And while we were heading home, there was a lot of fracas that time. That was 2007. Getting out even was a bit of a problem. But somehow we found our way to Nairobi. We posed at my parents' house, and then we proceeded. But just before we go to Nairobi, we got a call from somebody, and he asked us, do you have anybody in the home? And we asked why. He said, because we have told there are 2 police vehicles, Land Rovers, that are headed towards your home. Said, oh. So they said, make sure there's nobody at home. In the next 1 hour, our home had been raided. Nothing was taken except our nice little box which had our Form 16As. So there went our evidence. We could not petition. Rachel has given you the rest of the story, how determined he was. And I'll tell you, he tried looking for that commissioner. He has not found him until today. Because he really felt he was unfairly treated. Now, those early days, though his friends called him Cheb or chairman, he had these very good friends, Lumatete Muchai and Peterson Semenye, who kept him company in the early years. I used to call him honey, I would call him darling. That is when we had got married. So when Rachel came along, of course the name changed. We became Baba Rachel and Baba Rachel. So the honeys and the darlings disappeared. That's why I decided to have my flower here with honey on it. At least now that the children are grown, I can still call him honey, but honey, I have to call you honey because I'm saying bye to you. I was transferred from Mombasa. I used to work in Mombasa, then later to Kwale. I was transferred because I was outgrowing the station, but because of my family, I did not want to leave. But my bosses at the National Treasury insisted that I had outgrown and I have to move. So I moved to Nairobi. I didn't know how to tell my husband to join me because you don't tell a Luya or a Bukusu man to follow you when you are transferred. They will not. So I started by pulling Rachel slowly for her studies in Nairobi. I pulled Jonathan And then I left Emmanuel behind with him. Emmanuel has given you the story, because I used to do the cooking. Now there they were, the two of them. They didn't want to employ anybody to work for them. And Emmanuel has explained to you how they ate the mud fishes. So with time he knew it would be a matter of time Emmanuel would leave to come for further studies in Nairobi. And then he would be lonely. That is when they made a decision to come and join us in Nairobi. And if they had not come to Nairobi, I don't think they would have established Kuto and Partners, that firm that he established, because then there would have been no need for him to come. He became the managing partner. And other than their company growing in terms of career and everything, that's when now it was easy to do the masters, and it was also easy. It was possible for him now to take up the job as the chairperson of IEBC. We had a lot of, other than playing golf, he encouraged me to take up leadership. Rachel has mentioned it. As for me, I went to the highest level. I became the chairperson of the Kenya Ladies Golf Union, a position he felt I needed to take up. And I thank God for him, because it instilled a lot of leadership skills in